Okay, today we're gonna talk about the oculomotor nerve, the cranial nerve number 3. So, before we talk about the origin of this nerve, we need to talk generally about this. So, we need to say this cranial nerve have 3 principal functions. One is the innervation of the pupil and the lens. This is a parasympathetic function, okay? The second is the innervation of the muscles of the eyes, okay? The extrinsic muscles of the eye, but not all of them, okay? We're gonna see 2 of them. They are not innervated by the oculomotor. And the third is the innervation of the upper eyelid. So, 3 functions. The parasympathetic one is the innervation of the pupil and the lens. The second one is the innervation of the upper or superior eyelid. And the third one is the innervation of the extrinsic muscle of the eye. So, about the origin of the oculomotor, we're going to have 2 kinds, 2 origins, let's call it like that. One is the look-like origin. And this look-like origin is in the interpeduncular fossa. You're gonna see it here. Look at here. This is the peduncles, cerebral peduncles here. You can see here, and you see this guy going out from this fossa. This is the look-like origin. But the real origin of this nerve, you're gonna find here, deep in the midbrain. So this nucleus, this is the real origin of this nerve, the oculomotor nucleus. The oculomotor nucleus originates from the level of the superior colliculus in the midbrain. Okay, you see here superior colliculus. Look, this colliculus here, superior colliculus. So we cut at this level. I'm gonna find this nucleus, and if we see this axial cut or this transverse cut, the same, we can see the nucleus, the third nerve nucleus. They are located ventral to the cerebral aqueduct, okay, on the pre-aqueductal gray matter. So you can see here, this is the aqueduct here. Remember, this is anterior, this is posterior or ventral, okay? And you can see the nucleus here. You can see the nucleus anteriorly to the cerebral aqueduct, okay? And you see the periaqueductal gray matter here surrounding. Okay, so, and then we're gonna talk about the trajectory, okay, the pathway. Okay, now we already know where is the real origin of this nerve. Okay, again we can see here the midbrain, the cut, and you're gonna see all the structures this nerve cross. Okay, so about the pathway, we're gonna have 2. One is the intranuclear pathway and the other one is the extranuclear pathway. First, let's talk about the intranuclear. What happened in the beginning? So in the beginning, we see the aqueduct here. We see the cerebral aqueduct, and remember the pre-aqueductal gray matter. Pre-aqueductal gray matter. Good. And anteriorly, remember, anteriorly we have the nucleus. Okay. But what happened? What this nerve do, these fibers, these axons, these tracts, they cross some structures here, and you can see. Okay, this is the nerve, but you can see the structures this nerve cross here. The medial longitudinal fascicles here, and later cross this. You're gonna see these structures, very big and red, which you're gonna see in all the cut here. You see? You see? Yes, light red. This is the red nucleus, okay? So the structures this nerve cross is gonna be the, again, red nucleus. You see it cross the medial longitudinal fascicle here, and you see they cross this structure and cross the substantia nigra, and then goes out of the, again, the fossa. We put in blue the fossa here. Yes, remember this is the fossa, the interpeduncular fossa. Okay, so we have two nucleus. One is the proper oculomotor nucleus here. You can see here, I will put in yellow. And we have the other guy here, the Edinger-Westphal nucleus, or also called Jakubowicz nucleus. Okay, this is the parasympathetic one here. Important of this nucleus, very important, the Edinger-Westphal nucleus. These fibers go to the eye via the ciliary ganglion, okay, and control the sphincter pupillae, the pupil constriction. We're gonna talk more later about it, and also the ciliary muscles, okay, with the accommodation. But this guy here is totally for the extraocular muscles of the eye, except two guys. This is a question of the test all the time, except the superior oblique muscle and the lateral rectus muscles, okay? Because these two guys are gonna be innervated by the abducens and the trochlear, okay? Good. We already know this. Okay, again. Yes, the origin. Okay, the real origin, you can see it here. Okay, good. And now we're going to talk about the extranuclear pathway. It's the longest one, okay? So now the extranuclear pathway. So remember, this nerve exits from the interpeduncular fossa. Then is go anterior, lateral, and superiorly. Go lateral to the posterior clinoid process and superior to the dorsoceli. You can see it here. You can see here the nucleus. Okay, so again you see here the nerve. Midbrain, they will see here the pedunculus, okay? And then the nerves enter to the superior wall of the cavernous sinus. Okay, we see here the midbrain, the cut of the midbrain, the interpeduncular fossa here, and you see this guy. I'm gonna put in green, and you see this guy going there. Okay, anterior, laterally, and superiorly. Okay, there is no way out. We miss that. Okay, again we see here and very beautiful view. Something we wanna see is the relationship of this nerve with these vessels. Okay, another way we wanna identify very easily is we're gonna see the nerve are between two vessels. See the nerve here again, okay, but you see these vessels, the nerves is going like from them. This is the posterior cerebral artery, and the other way here, the superior cerebral artery. Okay, cerebral artery. These two arteries, between these two arteries, we're gonna find the optic nerve. For example, this is the superior view, but this is superior view. You can see the basilar here. You see the posterior cerebral artery here. Okay, and you see this nerve going there. Again here. You can see here. this is the basilar, okay, and this is the superocerebral artery, and this guy here, see this guy here is the superior cerebral artery. Again, you see here the optic nerve going through these two vessels, superior cerebral artery, inferior, and the posterior cerebral artery, okay. Again, you see again here, you see the basilar, superior cerebral artery, and the posterior cerebral artery. Between these two arteries, we're gonna find this nerve. Okay, again, for example, we see the substantia nigra, remember, midbrain, and you see the interpeduncular fossa there, and you see these nerves going from there between these two arteries. You see this artery here is the posterior cerebral artery, and inferior we have the superior cerebral artery. You see here, okay, you can watch here, and the optic nerve going between these two arteries. So when the oculomotor nerve are in relationship with the cavernous sinus, how we're gonna find it? For example, if we check, I'm gonna make this. This is in a schema, okay? We're checking this. We're gonna cut this here, okay? And we're gonna check here. This is the cavernous sinus here, okay. This is the hypophysis there, okay. And the relationship of these elements we're gonna find here. The optic nerve is gonna be the superior one, okay. Look at here, superior one, optic nerve, the more superior one. Down to this oculomotor nerve, we're gonna find the trochlear. For example, you can see here, trochlear nerve. We're gonna find down here. And very deep, we're gonna find the abducens, okay? It's gonna find very deep. You can see the abducens here. They're gonna be very deep. And later we're gonna find the two branches of the trigeminus, B2, B3. They are not like a V, okay? They are not like a V. We're gonna find what they call it like a V. So we're gonna find V1 and V2, okay? V2 down here, V1. And the biggest elements here, we're gonna find the ICA, okay? We're gonna find the internal carotid artery there. This is the transverse cut of the cavernous sinus. We already talked about that, but always is good to check over again, okay? Again, oculomotor nerve, the most superior one, inferior to this guy, we're gonna find the trochlear, the deepest one, deepest and inferior to the artery, we're gonna find the abducens. Later we have B1 and B2. So let me eliminate these elements. So after each of the cavernous sinus, the oculomotor nerve is gonna divide into two branches, one superior branch and the other inferior branch. The superior branch innervate the superior rectus and levator palpebrae superioris. This branch we're gonna find it, address it, because it's pass medially over the optic nerve. This superior branch is the smallest one, and later we're gonna have the inferior branch. This is the largest and divided in 3 branches. One passes beneath to the optic nerve, to the medial rectus, another to the inferior rectus, another one go to the inferior oblique, and from this one, from the third one, we're gonna have a short thick branch give off to the lower part of the ciliary ganglion. Okay. For example, you can see here the inferior branch. Okay, you can see the inferior branch, and you can see the ciliary ganglion here, and you see the anastomose. I'm gonna put in yellow. You can see the anastomose here between the ciliary ganglion and the inferior branch. Okay, you see the branches. Again, we can see this the optic nerve. Sorry, the oculomotor nerve. You can see here going between these vessels. Okay, remember the vessels. The superior cerebellar artery inferiorly to the nerve, and superior to the nerve, the posterior cerebral artery. So again, we see this. Remember the vessels, midbrain, and the oculomotor nerve. You see the posterior clinoid process, and you can see how the nerve is going lateral to the posterior clinoid process. Then we can see the nerve here also. How I gonna say it in this coronal this coronal picture is the oculomotor nerve. For example, this is the basilar. Remember, this is the superior cerebral artery, and this is the posterior cerebral artery. And in yellow, remember these structures here. Okay, easy. It's an easy way to identify this nerve. So let's see more picture. Oh yes, and you can see here the extrinsic nerve. Remember, the oculomotor nerve innervate all the muscles of all the extrinsic muscles of the eye, except the oblique superior and the rectus lateral rectus. Now, remember we talked about the Jakubowicz or Edinger-Westphal nucleus, the parasympathetic. So, about this function of this parasympathetic fibers, we're gonna see these nerves gonna react to the light. We're gonna have the radial muscles, the contraction, okay, and the circular muscles. Also, we have here the ciliary muscles. The ciliary muscles gonna act in the accommodation. So this accommodation means refers to different strategies employed to the viewer when the elements is near to us or is far from us. Okay, our view of them can remain clear or be focused, depends. Okay, this is the accommodation. When in the neurological exploration, the way we put this we check in the patient is we put the eye, we put the finger near to the patient, very close to the patient, and we're gonna see how the accommodation of the eye, and we're gonna put far. It's the same as we do with the cameras. So we have the sphincter pupillae. We're gonna find this is a part in the eyeball that serves to regulate the amount of light that reaches the retina. It's smooth muscles, and depending on the quantity of light, it's gonna close or open. So when these muscles make constriction, it's called meiosis, and if when it's dilated bigger, we call mydriasis. But this don't only depends on the light, okay? Also depends on emotions. So we have the intracranial blood supply. You can see here the arteries that supply the nerve is the posterior cerebral artery, also the posterior communicating artery. It's important, the posterior communicant artery, it's very close to the nerve. So when we have an aneurysm of this artery, we can have affection of this nerve, like mydriasis. And the extracranial supplies is by the ophthalmic artery. The nerve is in the ocular cavity, in the orbital. How the nerve look like in the CT? You can see here, midbrain here, peduncular fossa, and look at here. Okay. How it look like in the MRI? You can see here midbrain. Remember, this is the arteries, basilar here, and we have the basilar here, and we have the posterior cerebral artery, and I put in yellow, and you see the nerve here. Okay. Again here, you can see the nerve here. Okay. This is the posterior communicante arteries, posterior superior arteries, and you see the nerve. Remember, this is midbrain, and this is aqueduct. Again, here we see in this coronal cut of the MRI, you see the nerve in green. With the clinical of the nerves, we have a lot of clinical. Why this nerve is so important for example, in neurosurgery? When the patient have a mass effect, for example, of the uncus make compression here, of the nerve, and gonna cause mydriasis, okay? Or the patient don't react to the light. You can see here the reflex, the pupillary reflex, remember? The pathway of the pupillary reflex, vestibulo-ocular reflex, remove the eyes, and with the association of the vestibular system. The eye is gonna move, the orbit gonna move in the direction, the same direction. Now we have the palpebral oculogyrus reflex or bell reflex. This reflex refers to an upward and the lateral deviation of the eye during the eyelid closure against resistance. It's particularly prominent in patients with lower motor neurons, facial paralysis, and lack of thalamus. With the accommodation response, we're gonna check it with both eyes. So this palsy can be a complete nerve palsy when a result in the characteristic down and out position of the affected eye. The eye will displace outward. It's called echotropia, and display downward is hypotropia. And the outward is because for the lateral rectus, remember, is innervated by the abducens, okay? Means gonna keep the muscle tone in comparison of the paralysis of the medial rectus. We can talk about this like in a special presentation. Okay, with that we finish.